Welcome to Season 4 of the Powered by Rock podcast. We'll bring you the best stories in rock music with a focus on highlighting independent rock musicians and their music from all over the world. No, rock music isn't dead. It's getting better and better. It's just time for you to start paying attention again. With that said, let's get this party started.
The mountain's gonna rise and fall by me.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Powered by Rock podcast. It's my pleasure to be speaking with Brian of the LA rock band Record Year today. Record Year has been sporadically playing shows and making music since its creation about 6 years ago, I want to say. But what's really exciting about these guys is that they have a batch of new songs that take their music into brand new territory. And I don't just mean for themselves, but I honestly think this is music. It's basically is unlike anything I've ever heard. And the best way I can describe it is Bruno Mars mixed with Turnstile or something to that effect. So it's eclectic, but I freaking love it. Their latest single, I Love That For You, was released in February of this year, and you can hear backup vocals, trumpets, and just about, anything you think of like Motown kind of swing mixed with like some hardcore punk or, alternative rock, all mixed together, and it makes you want to get up and knock shit over. So, hey, Brian, welcome to the show.
Hi, how you doing?
Yeah,
that was so professional.
Yeah.
Wow.
I do my research. But yeah, so let's kind of talk about the band because I got the chance to see you guys back in LA. I want to say in like July of last year or somewhere around that point.
Yeah, something like that.
It was part of like a kind of like a one-day festival at a brewery, and you guys fucking killed it. Like so much so that I even gave you guys guitar cables because I was like, I think you guys are awesome. Like I want to figure out like something to support you. So like I was vending my guitar cables there for that day. So I said, just take them. You can have them.
Yeah.
In my head, I was thinking, these guys got something. Like they got something. I think you guys pulled the biggest crowd of the day too. Like it might be because you haven't played a show in a while before that, but at the same time,
yeah, that was the first show in some time.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of talent. So let's kind of back up and get me to that point where I first saw you guys. How did this band even come together, and how are you working with? Because I think you got some new members coming in and out of the band based on this new music and material. So how is that all going, and how did it kind of come together in the beginning?
From the very beginning?
Sure, like not from like the day you were born or anything, but like, how did you get? Because when you sent me the first, because I've listened to the first album as well. It's not this sound, right? It's different. It's a little bit more shoegazy, alternative kind of style. So how did you get to that point, and then how did you turn into the new songs?
I started writing when I was like 17 or 18, like right out of high school, and I think that was around like 2007. So that was, all that was kind of just around kind of like the end of the like pop punk, right?
Yeah.
Or it was, and
pop punk,
yeah. So all the early stuff was like super pop punk, really. But how we got to that, I had a high school friend of mine that we just got together and we were just writing acoustic songs at first, and we just wanted to make kind of like heavier music, but like melodic and catchy heavy music.
Yeah, sure.
But what else? Damn. I don't know.
I mean, was this people that you knew from high school? Like, have you known for a long time? Or?
Yeah. This is our original bassist. Of like, I was gonna stop playing guitar completely because like I couldn't figure it out. And he told me, he's like, just learn tabs. And I was like, how? What are these numbers?
Yeah.
And we started writing like that first album, like there were so many revisions of that first album, and I don't know. I'm kind of losing my train of thought here.
Well, let's talk about, so when you're going from the pop punk stuff and then going to kind of what came out of the album, did you have any like conversations with the guys that you were playing music with and saying like, pop punk is dead, we don't want to make this? Or was it like you kind of like, as you get older, like certain styles you listen to certain styles that are different. Like you might not listen to pop punk anymore after the age of 23 or whatever. You know, and because of you have different things going on in your life, or you're hearing different influences. What kind of was there any external influence, or was it all just like you came together with the people that you're playing with, and that's just kind of what came out?
Everyone that we got together with, they all, you know, came from different backgrounds of music. You know, one guy was like hardcore. I was more pop punk, more pop music. I was like more Blink-182. He was more like Mastodon.
Okay.
And we met, ended up meeting Kyle, who's like Beatles and you know, Van Halen, and then ended up with Quinn playing drums, who he listens to like tribal drums and like Mongolian throat singing music. And so we ended up getting together, and just whatever happened, it's just the album, that's just what happened. It's just a mix of everyone's taste, really.
Sure.
Yeah.
I do want to pick up what you're saying about like kind of like the pop style.
Mm-hmm.
You have, I would say you have one of the bigger sounding voices that I've heard in an independent band in a long, long time. Like there's people who like have they're lead singers by default because no one else wants to sing, or they're lead singers because they're the ones that write the songs and then they build a band around it. But like you seem to have, like the stature of your voice seems to be like you were going to be a singer, whether or not you played an instrument, whether or not you were going to be in a band. That's how like big the voice is. So how did that kind of come through? Were you like singing before, or were like, has it just been kind of growing to this point, or how'd you get there?
Like originally all the old songs I used to sing, I would like try to sing like Tom DeLonge.
Yeah.
And be like, I. But then over the years, I really got into like soul music, and at the same time, I was also listening to a lot of Fall Out Boy.
Yeah.
And so like I just driving to work like all the time, like I would just be singing Fall Out Boy, and just listen to soul music and singing along, and that kind of like developed my voice to where it is now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you really listen to it, like you can kind of hear
it. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, because that's what I'm getting at. I mean, if you listen to what you're doing now, I mean, and I can't wait for people to like hear like even more of what's coming out, but it is more Motown, soul, funky, but then it's also got these just insanely like catchy, you know, emo, pop punk, rock choruses that are, you know, almost, I would say borderline hardcore with how the music kind of comes out. And it just, I don't even know how, like without people hearing it, I don't know how to accurately describe what I'm listening to, which is a good thing for me, because it's something I've never heard, and I've listened to goddamn pretty much every genre and every kind of music ever. When I hear something as different and unique as this, I'm like, okay, first of all, it's different and unique, but then second of all, is it good? And then it's so fucking good, and I'm listening to it and going, all right, like whatever happens, like this band should at least have the opportunity to be heard by 100 to 300 people for this particular reason. And, you know, play a show, see, you know, be on a podcast or whatever. Somebody needs to know, like other than me, needs to know about this band. So I think it's going to be when you do release this EP, well, sorry, you were going to release it as an EP. When you release this new music, I will be shocked if you don't give a great reception. And I did have a conversation with Andy from Sell the Heart Records, and I sent you guys over to him, that the EP part of it, and he said he really liked it as well. So it's good feedback, obviously. So now the status of where you're at, right? So you've sent me, I think 5 songs, maybe 6. I can't remember exactly how many, where it was all in the same vein. And you said, we're thinking about releasing this in May. And I want to say this was like back in January, February, we talked. And I said, well, you could do that. There's pros and cons of EPs, right? But then you were like, okay, let's just go ahead and make a full album out of it. So what's the status of this full album? Have you guys written, recorded any more of the songs? And I know you had mentioned to me that playing this stuff live is also kind of complicated because of all the extra elements. So kind of give me a rundown of what's going on.
Well, we started with 5 songs. The ones I sent you. I think I sent you a demo of the last one,
Mm,
and I think we're working on 3 more at the moment. It's just they take so long. They take forever because I mean, there's so much goes so much goes into it, and I mean, I just don't like. Oh, like there are times like, oh, we did that with the last song. It's like, so we got to scrap it. We got to redo it, and then so that's gonna take, I don't know, maybe a couple more months. Hopefully hopefully not longer than a couple months, but yeah. But for the show part, we never really played with backing tracks before because we never had to.
yeah.
And now that it's getting to right now we're just kind of learning how to play on time.
Yeah.
And so once we get that going, it should be easier. It should be get more confidence and get some shows going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want to try to bring a trumpet player, backup dancers or singers or anything like that.
Yeah. And I mean, it also, yeah. And for me too, because I mean, some of those songs are kind of hard to sing. So
yeah. Yeah. I mean, when an independent band tries to go on tour with 13 people, nobody.
Yeah. You don't make money anyways. So I got to pick 13 people.
So you think that this will be the eventual full album of it? So let's say 8 to 10 songs, somewhere in there, will probably be finished within the year, though.
Yeah. Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's on track. I mean, we're getting pretty close.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm excited because this is one of them. Like I said, one of these unique opportunities of like a totally different sound of music coming out, and I know what to expect, or like, because I've heard it, like I know how good it is, and I just want to see what other people think about it. Like, I don't ever give a shit what other people say, but like about me, because like I have no embarrassing, like I can't be embarrassed and I can't be shamed because I'm just a piece of shit or whatever. But like when I say like this is a good band and somebody's like, I don't like them, I'm like, there's something fucking wrong with you then. Like we have a problem. Like if you don't like something that's objectively good, then we have a problem. But yeah, I think that this is going to be an interesting kind of showcase because I've already told you, like if we can find a way to get this on vinyl, that'd be really cool. I'd possibly get it on a album or a record label or something like that. It'd be very cool.
Yeah, no, that'd be super cool. I don't know. It says no. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, finish what you're
going
to
say. No, good. I had nothing.
Okay. I got nothing.
I got nothing.
So what I want to do is kind of shift a little bit and let's just talk about kind of like what you've kind of been doing. Like, cause obviously, like I said, I saw you in LA, you play with a few bands. Being in LA, I don't ever find really, really good bands that often. I find a lot of like the hair metal bands. I find, these, I won't say washed up, but maybe never has-beens or, emulated journeymen of the rock genre, I'll call it, where they think that they're famous, but they've never been famous. It's very hard to find good rock music. And when I do, I'm like, how the fuck are you from LA? Because like, I know what LA sounds like. LA sounds have a very specific sound. So when people say like LA rock music, do you have like a kind of like a flashback of a like when I hear it, like I have like almost a bad feeling about it? Or do you kind of just like, you have no expectations of what that music means to anybody?
Well, normally like LA rock is usually associated with like the whole like Sunset Strip, right? With all the Viper Room and all that hair metal stuff. And like Red Hot Chili Peppers, right? Yeah. They're not even from here.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, there's so much music now. There's just not really any expectations coming out of LA for the sound. I have no expectations for sound. I know there's just like scenes everywhere. So everyone's just kind of doing their own thing now. Yeah.
And without record labels like trying to snatch up every rock band, it's like everybody's got to go out and make their own way now. So like I think it leads to more creativity without the ability to get more exposure easily, which kind of sucks because it's like all these artists are putting all their hard work into it without getting any sort of reward in any immediate future. But at the same time, they're not being screwed over by big record labels either. So that's kind of good. So let's talk about the LA scene, because do you have like any current favorite bands that are kind of playing in the LA scene right now that you can say like, maybe here's my top 3 or anything like that?
I have bands that in my top 3, but I don't know if they're from LA or not. I don't think so.
Well, let's go with who are your top like 3 maybe independent bands that like maybe people haven't heard of.
I don't know.
Because if you say like, Weezer's my top band, but like, well, yeah, I think people know that.
That's not Weezer. I like Microwave. Have you heard of Microwave?
I have not.
Yeah, I love this band called Microwave. I love this band called Pup.
Pup? Yeah, I know them.
Yeah, I love Pup. And Hot Mulligan. They just came out with the album.
It's a great album, actually.
Yeah, it's
just wrote a review for it this morning.
It's so good.
Yeah,
so good.
I'm gonna write these down because Hot Mulligan. It makes sense that you say you like that, because if people know of Hot Mulligan, that is kind of similar to a sound that you have with your music, but like it's not at the same time. It's like your choruses maybe are like Hot Mulligan, but like the rest of the song right now is not. And I think that's pretty cool, because I wrote in my review, which hasn't been published yet, but I said something like, if bands like White Reaper, Hot Mulligan, and Turnstile all were on a tour together, then radio stations and record labels would understand that you don't need 90s bands to promote new music, because these are just really fucking good bands that play now, that are active now, that came out in the last 10 years or so, that are making their way in the DIY and independent rock scene, basically just by fucking busting their ass and playing and making really good music. So Pup's another one. Like they got big all on their own. So it's interesting. All right, well, cool. So let's talk about, do you guys have other things coming up? Because you were talking about, we talked about potentially doing shows. Do you have anything lined up, or do you have kind of an idea of when you might be able to make that happen?
We don't have anything lined up now. We're just, you're just trying to kind of just get to the polish that I think we need to be at. Like, when you see a band for the first time and they suck, like you never want to see them again. Like, I don't want that to happen to us,
Yeah.
I want, every time we play, I want it to feel like, it's the first time you saw us. So
yeah.
So we'll get there. Well, I mean, we'll get there. It's just taking some time right now.
Yeah. I will also give you a piece of advice on that. There's a phrase out there that says something like, it's better to get something, or better to do something than to do it perfectly. Basically, like, just get it going, because if you wait until it's perfect, you'll be waiting for fucking ever.
Oh no, it's just it's not gonna be that long.
We're not worried about perfect. Don't worry about
that. We're not. We're worried about being okay.
We're worried about not screwing up every single time.
Stop. It's like, oh man. It's
very cool. Because I know that you were talking about wanting to come out to Vegas, and so hopefully we can make that happen before the year's end. And I think people are going to love it, because I have some ideas of bands that would be really good fit for you too. So we'll try to get a show together out here. But I do want to play the song before we wrap up here. I do want to play the song "I Love That For You," obviously from you guys' new single, so people can actually listen to it, hear what the fuck we're talking about, and see if what we've already described makes any sense. But I do want to thank you so much for stopping by and obviously letting us, know a little bit more about the insights and the insides of the music. But did you have anything you wanted to specifically say about this song before we go?
No, not really. This is I don't know. I was kind of just a little bitter when I wrote the song, but it's all right. Yeah.
I'm assuming it's about an ex-girlfriend or something of that sort, because there's backup female vocals calling you an asshole and stuff like that. And it's done pretty well. I think people will get the gist of what's happening without knowing all the lyrics. So
Maybe.
yeah. Their secret meaning, was it like something? It's like a parakeet they used to have.
No, it's just like, oh, actually, like the song itself is kind of just like the illusion of fame. It's like, you know, don't you know who I think I am?
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty
Yeah.
good too. That's pretty
Yeah.
typical LA attitude as well.
Yeah.
So it's like the irony of being in LA. But
Mhm.
I do want to make sure I ask you this. Do I have your full permission to play this song? So that way YouTube and Spotify and all these assholes don't take me off the air.
Yeah, go for it.
Perfect. So here's the song. I love that for you from Record Year to play us in the break. And make sure to check out all the links to their music and their social media. Make sure to follow them below this episode in the show notes. And we'll be back right after this.
Reverend Guitars embodies the idea that every run of scorching lead and every roll of finger-picked twang deserve the same passion and commitment to quality. Whether you're selling out arenas or playing in your living room, we know that what makes an instrument powerful is when players wield them to create something remarkable. A melody that moves mountains, a riff that just won't quit. We want to be there in your hands when that happens. For us, that means staying true to what we believe. Somewhere along the road of electric guitar history, it became a crazy idea that guitar makers should craft guitars with the same sense of purpose and passion, whether they're played in a bedroom or an arena. If that's a wild idea, then we're in the right place, carrying 6 strings and an attitude, and we're in good company. Reverend Guitars. Well played.
Running your own music career is incredibly difficult. Trying to get people to like, share, comment, listen, follow, it's all just overwhelming. Most musicians give up before they ever achieve success, and that's the worst. If you're looking for a better way to grow your music career, head to DIYrockcareer.com for some absolutely free training. It costs you nothing, and it could be the difference between hitting your goals and quitting your dream. Go to DIYrockcareer.com today by clicking the link below this episode.
Then I lost my way.
Let me ask you, obviously talking about the new sound of the music, you were talking about how you were listening to soul music. Was there anything inside that was like, I want to switch to this type of music? Or did you play, because I think I remember you saying you played like one song and you're like, this sounds pretty good, let's maybe see if we can do more. Was that kind of like an experiment, or like did you feel like this is where it was going?
Yeah, there was a song on the first record called Same Hands where at the very end we switch up to this whole like doo-wop soul thing, and I think that was kind of like the proof of concept. Maybe we can get away with it.
Yeah.
And it'll sound cohesive. But then originally I made the very first song when I wanted to switch to soul. Like I had a dog for like 16 years and he died, and then when he died I was like, oh man, I want to make soul music. and the first song I made was Can't Take Me Nowhere.
Yeah. Which
is about my dog. And I was like, wow, this is great. I think we can do this. Let's just I showed it to a friend of mine who owns a studio, who actually ended up joining the band, Thomas. And he was like, let's just keep making music like this. This is great. Like, I'm like, how? I'm like, where do we start? Yeah, because
I got the one.
Yeah, I got the one. It's like, how do we do it again? And then how do we do it again? And then that was like almost 2 years ago. So yeah. It's taken a while to write these songs. Yeah.
Do you feel like it's the, I guess the risk and the effort is going to be worth the end result, though? Because from what I hear, I mean, like I said, it's completely new and unique. That can be scary for two reasons. Obviously, one, because it could fall flat on the face and nobody might like it other than me and one other person on the earth or whatever. Or it could be scary for the sense that it might actually get popular and completely change what happens in the next couple of years, right? Like, I mean, you might pioneer, which would be fucking weird to say, like, oh, I'm going to pioneer a new kind of genre of music. But that's also equally scary, I think, is like, I don't want to be known for this, like, for certain reasons, but I also don't want it to not work either. So do you have any kind of dual, like, feelings about, what the popularity or non-popularity of this might look like?
I think you're running into the problem of where, it's not heavy enough for the heavy people and it's not soulful enough for the people who like the soul, So you're kind of caught in the middle of who's it for? Because, you're not totally, can't please everybody. So what are you going to do? I mean, I like it. I mean, I think, I mean, first and foremost, I think I write just for myself, honestly. Yeah. And I'm like you. I don't care if people hate it or not. I love it too. As long as I like it, that's what it's going to be. And if it ends up picking up steam and you become pioneers, that would be insane. But
like,
but
yeah,
that'd be crazy. But but you just kind of, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah, and I think obviously a lot more people are afraid of it not working than working, regardless of the repercussions of how famous or whatever it might be. But like, I think most people are like, I'd rather it work on any level than not work at any level, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it works. I mean, I feel like anyone that's heard it is kind of like, they don't hate it, It's like that, they might just
tell everybody, like, I know that I'm the only person that likes my music, and that's okay. And like, well, it's not that bad. I'm like, you saying it's not that bad means it's not good.
yeah. Oh, it's okay. Yeah, it's like, okay. It's like, yeah, I didn't just spend like 3 months doing this.
Yeah, exactly. So I almost sneezed, but I was like, I'm about to die, but I don't know. Like, never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's kind of talk about some of the I guess the sound or the vibe. I hate using that phrase vibe because like I don't really understand why people say that, but it's an energy, man. Let's go with I think my personal favorite thing about the music is that you create these like huge songs that can easily be played in arenas, and that's why I say like it could be like one of these things. It's like you're a pioneer because it's like, you know, Bruno Mars was making pop music the entire time he was not famous, right? Like he just then became famous because he was writing stuff like that. I mean, he wrote that song for what's the guy's name? Fucking Fuck You and Forget You Too or whatever. Yeah, that song. He wrote that song. He wrote a few other songs out there like B.O.B. and stuff like that. Those were famous. He wasn't even famous yet. He was writing music for other people. But then you also find a way to connect with humans. And I think it's different when people get to the level that they're actually playing stadiums and making that big stadium sound, because at that point they've disconnected themselves from an everyday person, right? Like they're so rich and famous from, you know, being a long-term musician. Like we were just talking about Chili Peppers. Red Hot Chili Peppers do not make music for normal people anymore. They're making music for themselves and the decadent lifestyle and the rock star lifestyle they've had for the last 50 years, because that's just their life. Like they can't really connect on a I can't pay my rent kind of level anymore, right? So what I like about your ability to write these songs now is that you have achieved the sound of these big anthemic rock songs, but you're still a normal person, so you actually can write the songs with lyrics that make fucking sense, and they're not about like Eddie Van Halen becoming a drug addict or some weird shit like that. You're like, why is Anthony Kiedis writing a song about Eddie Van Halen? I don't even know what the fuck is happening right now. Like, but yeah, I mean, this is you're talking about your dog. You're talking about relationships. You're talking about, you know, the things that you do in your life, just like everybody else, right? Obviously, you're not talking about your dog like, oh, he's a good boy. Like, you know, here's the kind of kibbles that he likes or whatever. Like it's a relationship, but it's just with a dog kind of scenario, right? So like, do you feel like there is something about that when you're writing these songs that are these big sound, do you feel like it makes more sense to write these connective lyrics versus like trying to just write a pop song, which could be completely meaningless?
Yeah, I mean, the way I always wanted to write songs, I wanted to be, you know, catchy first and foremost. I want it to catch your ear first, but then like once you actually start listening to it, it's like, oh, that's a really sad song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you know,
happy, but it's so
yeah, yeah, it's like you know, it's like you're crying in the club.
Yeah.
So it's just you know, I think you do have to. I mean, I'm writing, as I said, I write for myself, but it's, I mean, I can't be the only person to feel that way, you know? Yeah. so like when, you know, you actually listen to it, you know, there's some, and, you know, you build a connection to the song and you feel, you know, something for it, then, you know, it just means that much more, especially when at first, you know, you just thought it was a catchy song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like maybe Drake might be a good example of like, or Bad Bunny is another one where like people are like, oh, I like to dance to it. But then you listen to the lyrics and you're like, this dude is sad as shit right now. Like,
yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like as far as, you know, pop stars or whatever. And it's like, they still manage to keep famous, but like a lot of pop and R&B and hip hop artists, they are egotistical. They're flashy. They want to be materialistic. They want to show off the stuff that they have. They don't want to talk about what it is to be a real human and have depression, anxiety, be sad. They just want to talk about how much money they have. And it's like, who the fuck cares how much money you have? We know how much money you have. You're stupidly spending on shit that you'll probably bankrupt and from in like a couple of years anyway. So no, we don't care. Like we don't.
Yeah, I can't relate.
But
I just,
you know,
I'm like so late on my power bill. like I don't care.
Do you know how much water costs in LA?
Yeah, seriously, it's ridiculous.
But yeah, I think that's always a way to ground yourself is like, you know, make the songs big, but then write the songs well as well, which like you're saying, it's a while to do it, but finding that connection between big songs and then intimate kind of interpersonal issues, That's where I think the gold is. And I think that's what's missing with a lot of music on the radio, because there's almost nothing I relate to that's on the radio. I'm like, Jesus, this is fucking stupid. Like, literally, it's just about teenage love. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm not a teenager anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't read Romeo and Juliet every year for a reason. I don't fucking have those issues anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Do something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I want to thank my guest, Brian Gonzalez from the LA Rock Band Record Year, for being on the show today. Go to the show notes below this episode to check out the music and the social media links as well. Remember, the Powered by Rock podcast is powered by our listeners. To show us some support, please be sure to subscribe and share the podcast on social media. If you're only listening to this podcast, you can go check out the full video interview on our YouTube and Spotify channels as well. Also, if you like reading, you want to check out some of our awesome content or shop our merch and gear, head to poweredbyrock.com to see what's good. That's our show for today. Until I see you soon for the next episode, rock on.
What was supposed to be easy is coming.